Hi there. Whenever I read a really good book, one that changes my perspective, I love to share it with everybody. And today, I'm taking some perspective from a book that I read in recent years called "Crazy is a Compliment" by Linda Rottenberg. The full title is "Crazy is a Compliment: The Power of Zigging When Everyone Else Zags." And the title, of course, immediately grabbed my attention because I'm traditionally someone who tends to zag while everyone else zigs, or however you want to put it. But if you're someone who's like that too, then hopefully this information today is helpful. But Linda writes a lot about the world of entrepreneurship and how it's changing subtly over time as our society and our societal structures change and so on. And if you're like me, you might be curious if there is any subtle differences between the terms small business owner and entrepreneur. They tend to get used interchangeably, and people who start their own business tend to call themselves entrepreneurs. And I got curious about, well, is there a difference? And if so, what are the differences? So here's what I found researching this. Small businesses tend to go into business for themselves because they're passionate about a certain idea and they're driven by the desire for a change in lifestyle predominantly. Small business owners tend to take small financial risks. They're not comfortable with large risk, whereas entrepreneurs thrive and sort of come alive in the zone of high risk. So that's a major difference. Small business owners tend to, in general, think locally and how they can serve their local market, whereas entrepreneurs tend to think global and how they can break into new markets and so on. So that's another difference. Small business owners tend to want to, and again, this is a generalization, but go into business for themselves and make themselves a great living and retire comfortably, whereas entrepreneurs, it seems the focus is on growth and scaling. So a true entrepreneur is trying to grow up their company as quickly as possible and scale it, and in order to sell it so that they can then invest in a new opportunity. So that's I guess the excitement that keeps an entrepreneur going, is how they can take something from nothing to a point where it's saleable for a profit, and then to invest that money back into greater and bigger opportunities. So entrepreneurs seem to have a larger appetite for risk and a desire to grow and scale, whereas small businesses like to, in general, stay local, and they're driven by freedom and lifestyle. The world of entrepreneurship is changing subtly, and that was what sort of was the message I got out of Linda Rottenberg's book. And she says that entrepreneurship is a state of mind. It's a way of thinking, and it's about imagining new ways to solve problems and create value, which is what most of us who are in small business is what we're trying to do, right? We see a problem out there and we're finding a new way of solving it that adds value that people are happy to pay for. And Linda writes in her book that if there ever was a time that's ripe for entrepreneurs, now is that time, because our economies are changing. Companies are unstable. I see that everywhere, particularly in my hometown in Perth, Australia. Companies are unstable. Jobs are unstable. It's no longer to have a career in corporate society is no longer stable and secure. Change is the only constant, as I'm sure you've all heard the cliche. And so entrepreneurship is taking advantage of that change and looking for gaps for opportunities to create value. And Linda says in her book, everyone needs to take some risk in this new age or risk getting left behind. So those of us in small business who are taking risk, we're doing the right thing because it's keeping us agile and growing and on our toes. Now, Linda defines 4 groups of entrepreneurs that are evolving, and I found these descriptions really interesting because it helped me figure out where I sit in the scheme of things, and hopefully it helps you too. So gazelles are what she refers to the group who we traditionally think of when we think of entrepreneurs, which are the tech startups and the Facebooks and the Home Depots and so on. They're agile, they're super fast growing, and their aim and their intention is to grow and explode into a white hot phenomenon, as Linda says. So their intention is to take over a certain market and to go big and go global and go hard. So that's a gazelle. The next category is called skunks. So these are employees actually operating within large organizations, but they see where something is not being done effectively, or where there's an opportunity for massive change within an organization. And Linda calls these people skunks because she says they stink up the joint from the inside. So they're there to disrupt and create change from the inside of an organization. So you might think of someone you know who's doing that, or maybe you are. Dolphins, on the other hand, is another category of entrepreneurs who are on the rise, and these are the social entrepreneurs. So these are the people who are really interested in creating social change. They're often operating in the social sectors, or not-for-profits or non-government organizations. Dolphins are smart and agile, and they're willing to buck conventions in order to agitate for real change. So these people are driven by social change. That's their key value, is they want to create positive change in society, and that's what drives them. Now, the final category is my favorite, because this is mine, is butterflies. This is the fastest growing sector globally of entrepreneurs or business owners. These are small-scale or lifestyle entrepreneurs who are driven by freedom and individualism. So, and butterflies, because even though you've probably heard of the ripple effect, but even though what we're doing here might seem small and localized, the ripple effect, or the butterfly effect, I think that's the name. The butterfly effect is where what's an action we do here on one side of the world might affect someone on the other side of the world, because we're all interconnected. And butterflies are essential in the ecosystem for vitality and nourishment. So Linda says that these people are, keeping the ecosystem alive and creating that diversity and agility that we all need. And rather, the social entrepreneurs are driven by a real desire to create a positive change. And being a butterfly, I also am driven by that. However, my higher value is freedom and individualism. So it's important for me to have freedom in my work and individualism. Excuse me, my son is just coming in. So I just paused the recording. My children are home today. It's a pupil-free day. So anyway, hopefully those 4 categories have helped you understand the 4 different fast-growing sectors of entrepreneurship globally. And if you're interested in Linda's book, it's a really, really good read. Crazy is a compliment, the power of zigging when everyone else zags. And if you're someone who likes to zig when everyone else zags, you'll get a lot of inspiration and validation and encouragement and motivation from it, because it helped me realize that I'm on the right path, and it's a good thing, and I hope it does that for you too. Her name is Linda Rottenberg. So I hope this was helpful, and until next time, bye for now.